A war shorter than your commute. 38 minutes. That's all it took for one nation to fall, for an empire to flex its power, and for history to forget the people who paid the price. This isn't just a story about the shortest war in history. It's about what happens when a small nation dares to defy a global empire. In the late 19th century, Zanzibar was a crossroads of the world. Spices from its plantations flavored European tables. Ivory from the African interior passed through its ports, and its wealth was built on a brutal slave trade that horrified European powers, at least on paper. But Britain didn't care about morality. It cared about control. Control of the sea lanes, control of the trade, control of a region it saw as vital to its empire. And yet, Zanzibar was no pushover. The Sultanate was rich, its navy was modernizing, and its leaders believed they could play the colonial powers against each other. Everything changed on August 25, 1896, when Sultan Hamad bin Thuwaini suddenly died, likely poisoned. Into the power vacuum stepped Khalid bin Bargash, a 29-year-old prince ambitious enough to seize the throne without Britain's approval. Britain had its own candidate, Hamoud bin Mohammed, a man who would rubber-stamp their control. The British consul issued a blunt ultimatum. Khalid must step down by 9 a.m. on August 27th or face war. But Khalid believed Britain was bluffing. After all, what kind of empire would destroy a city over a throne? At dawn, the harbor was a wall of steel. 5 British warships aimed their guns at the palace. Inside, Khalid gathered 3,000 defenders, soldiers, palace guards, and even civilians who believed they were protecting their homeland. His tiny navy, 3 wooden vessels, was no match for Britain's ironclads. The clock struck 9. Silence. Then, at 9:02, the order was given. British shells ripped into the palace. Fire spread within minutes. Khalid's artillery managed a few desperate shots before being obliterated. His navy sank under a hail of fire, turning the harbor into a graveyard. By 9:40, the war was over. 500 Zanzibaris lay dead. The palace was rubble. And Khalid? He slipped out the back door, fleeing to the German consulate. Britain installed Hamoud bin Mohammed as Sultan, a ruler with no real power. Zanzibar became a British protectorate, its sovereignty reduced to a signature on British decrees. Khalid lived in exile, returning years later as a powerless figurehead. For Britain, it was a demonstration. The shortest war in history wasn't just about a throne. It was a message to the entire world. Resist, and you'll be erased before your coffee cools. 38 minutes. That's how long it took for an empire to shatter a nation. But wars like this don't really end when the guns fall silent. Their echoes last for generations. In the borders we draw, the power we worship, and the histories we forget. Maybe that's the real story of the shortest war in history. It wasn't short at all. Its consequences are still ticking.